Hello everyone, welcome to episode 26 of Talk Wrestling here on NoDQ.com and MySpace and YouTube. Thank you very much for tuning in to the last show. I appreciate it considering all the mistakes I made in the previous episode, but I appreciate you guys tuning in, and of course you tuned in for one reason, not because of me, even though you seem to like me somewhat. You tuned in for our very special guest. She's on the phone right now. Let me introduce you to Terri Runnels. Hello, Terri.
Hi, Jeff. How are you?
I'm doing very well, very well. I understand you're still in Florida at the time.
That's right. I'm in hot and sticky Florida right now.
Yeah.
And I'm going up to what I hope is much better weather in Chicago.
Hopefully. What are you going to be doing in Chicago?
Well, I call it the Wizards and Potions Convention.
Okay. And also August 9th and 10th you'll be in South Carolina, and August 16th you'll be in Charlotte, the home of Ric Flair.
I will. One of my favorite places is Charlotte, North Carolina. I wanted to tell the fans really quickly, too, my new website is TheTerriRunnels.com. It used to be TheRealTerriRunnels.com, but we've changed it. It's a free site now. It's TheTerriRunnels.com. So
there you go.
Check that out.
Well, we'll make sure we post it on the website when we have the interview up, absolutely. And you also have an official MySpace page now.
For the first time ever. I mean, I think I'm the last person on the planet to actually do that. But, I've had 15 imposter accounts out there, so it's kind of like I've been there all along. I feel sorry for the fans who, go to these imposter sites thinking that they're talking to me, and they're not. So, and you'll put that up, too. It's MySpace /The Terri Runnels.
Yep, I'm looking at it right now. And you're one of the only wrestling personalities that actually admits your age on your MySpace. I'm impressed.
You know what? I think that's such BS. When, I am, it is what it is. I am what I am. Would I love to be 21 still? Yes. I don't like to lie about that sort of thing.
Well, you've been away from the wrestling scene for about 4 years now. You left WWE in 2004. Fill everybody in, for those of us that haven't been paying attention with you. What's been going on with Terri Runnels in the last 4 years?
I'll send out a PSA. This is not a public service announcement. Do not say yes to a marriage proposal 2 weeks after you started dating someone. Do not marry someone 6 months from the date of the first time that you met them. And if you have that feeling in your gut, and if your mother says to you, hours before you're to be married, if your mother says to you, are you sure you want to do this? Think twice. Think twice and don't do it. So, yeah, I made a kind of a rash choice and a foolish choice, and hopefully my poor child will learn something from it, as opposed to it being just something that was hurtful and hard. She will hopefully learn something from it.
I'm going through the quote personal life section of the Wikipedia, and
I'm with someone that this is something that's not in Wikipedia. That's quite interesting. I'm with a man that I met when I went over to Kuwait to sign autographs for the troops. It's quite the magical, wonderful story, which I will not go into here and now because it will take too long. But he and I have been together for a long time, so he is actually he is no longer in the military, and so he's been with me, and I've been with him for a long time now.
This is the former football player, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, his name is Terri Runnels.
Okay, I wasn't going to divulge his name, but it actually is on the Wikipedia, believe it or not.
Are you kidding me?
No, it says since 2006, Terri has been dating former college football player Terri Runnels.
Hey, you're on Wikipedia now.
I'm on, yeah, there you go. You're on the Wikipedia, Terri. There you go. Question from our fan, Jason Gallegos. He wants to know, do you still watch wrestling, and what do you think of the talent in WWE, TNA, or Ring of Honor, or whatever you watch, compared to when you were in the business?
I don't watch it on a regular basis right now. It's something that I don't do. If Dustin calls and says, hey, Dakota, Dad's doing this really funny gimmick, or, watch this, or this is going to be cool, we watch the TNA show, and sometimes I will watch for a little bit some of Vince's stuff, but it's something that I don't watch on a regular basis. There was still a little bit of having the double entendre where the sexual comments went over the heads of the children, but it was not so blatant, and maybe I'm saying the wrong years, because like when the whole HLA thing happened, and when the whole cane and the necrophilia thing happened, you know, I as a mother had a really hard time. Like, my child's grown up around the business. And,
right.
you know, there were so many things that Dustin would say or do with his character that were, you know, certainly, you know, there was the inference of nasty things, and there was the double entendre, but, you know, as a child, that all went over her head. It's very hard when there are two women kissing in the middle of the ring, or when, you know, Kane's kissing on a dead person or whatever. You know, it's hard to explain. You know, Mommy, why are these two girls kissing?
You mentioned that your time in 2000-2002 was fun for you. Was that your favorite time in WWE, the post-Marlena period, or did you enjoy the time as Marlena more?
I mean, I had a blast doing the Marlena character. That was a ton of fun. I think there were parts of the Marlena thing that I loved so much, and then there were parts of doing Terri that I loved. The one thing I didn't like about using my real name was that people assumed that because I was using my real name that whatever I was doing on camera was really me.
Right.
You know, instead of it being a character anymore, and that kind of bugged me. You know, to assume that, you know, that just because I go by Terri Runnels on screen, you know, whatever I do on screen is who and what I am in real life, and that is certainly not the case. So that was the only part about Vince wanting me to, you know, use my real name that I didn't like. That, and I used to know, like when I was in an airport, if someone called my name, I knew it was because they knew me, as opposed to being a fan. If someone said Marlena, you know, I knew it was a fan. I would turn around, you know, extend my hand, nice to meet you. If someone said Terri, I turned around expecting to, you know, just to be a friend or someone that I knew or that knew me. So it was crazy when I first changed from Marlena to Terri, you know, and I would be in an airport and I would hear Terri, and I would turn around expecting to know that person, and it, you know, was a fan. So that was an interesting adjustment.
Yeah. Take us through the time just in late 1997 when, actually in the middle part of late part 97, when you worked with Brian Pillman, who actually, I'm reading you actually dated at one point too before when you guys were in WCW, and then you ended up working together in the WWE. How funny was that?
Right. Brian and I dated a long time ago.
Yeah.
And when it was interesting because he actually, we started dating, and he found out that his former girlfriend was pregnant. And, you know, I remember saying to him, you know, Brian, no worries, you know, this is fine, we will stay friends, and, you know, you go and do what you need to do as a father, as a, you know, whatever you guys decide to do, and, you know, I'm here, I'm your friend. And so, you know, we dated very briefly, but then when we were doing the gimmick, the angle in WWE, or WWF at the time,
right.
That was going to be one of the coolest things ever. I mean, we had it. So when we did the after the 30 days, after Brian had me for 30 days, and Dustin and I were supposed to do a renewing of our vows in the ring, and then, you know, Brian was going to be the person that said, you know, if anyone here has any reason for these two not to be married, let them speak now, forever hold their peace. You know, Brian was going to come down, and there was going to be a big melee, and lots of juice was to be spilled, and you know, I was going to be bloodied by. It was going to be one of those classic scenes where I'm standing there in a wedding dress with blood all over me, and I'm protecting the guy who kidnapped me, basically, and just saying, you know, and that month that I was with Brian, I fell in love with him. I'm sorry, Dustin, I cannot be with you, and I mean, it was going to be a pretty dramatic angle, especially considering the fact that people knew we had a child and, you know, all that stuff. And so that was going to be really cool. And then, of course, the sad news that we got, you know, the day of the pay-per-view, we ended up doing, you know, putting Luna in and turning the angle, you know, where it went. But Dustin did the same thing I was going to do, you know, with someone else. So, I mean, it's sad. First of all, it's sad for Brian's family that he passed away, and for his friends. But, you know, I often have wondered, had we done that angle, how successful that would have been. I think it would have been great.
And then you came back in 1998 after that angle. In Val Venis's bedroom.
Right? I know. I have to tell you, we had so many laughs during vignettes.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, where I have to pop out front of the sheets and, like 30 seconds before, tape was rolling, we were just like giggling our heads off because it was just too much fun. But Val was great to work with. I loved it. Val is so, it's funny, so many people look at wrestlers and consider us all, I guess, jocks and meatheads and, not very intelligent, and that's very true of some, but Val is one of those intellectuals that you just really enjoy talking to. While he's a Canadian, he's very well-versed in our American politics as well as his own countries, and he's just a smart cookie and fun to be around, so.
Yeah, he's very involved in politics now. Like I'm on his MySpace a lot, and he's always got political blogs up. He's always talking about what's going on in the political world. He seems very well versed in what's going on. That's really cool that he's allowed himself to go outside the wrestling business and kind of do his own thing. You don't see a lot of wrestlers doing that anymore, and that's a sad thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. One of our fans would want to know if the right offer came along or if the right situation came along, would you ever go back to WWE?
I would, but I've said it before. I would probably not ever wrestle again. I really loved my time behind the mic. I loved hosting the show Excess.
Right.
I loved interviewing. I loved doing that. The one thing I did not enjoy was actually wrestling. I didn't mind taking big bumps. I've said this so many times before, nothing against any of the female wrestlers because I respect all of them who trained and this is what they wanted to do with their lives, to be a female wrestler. That's not what I wanted to do. That's not what I wanted to be. And so when Vince would say, you have a wrestling match tonight or a bikini paddle on the pole match tonight, I'd be like, I didn't want to do it. But if he told me I had to take some gigantic bump from Triple H or from Kane or, anyone.
The Dudleys, for example?
Edge is going to spear you tonight. I absolutely love that. When I went to the table, I loved that. So I didn't mind that part of it. I just hated having an actual match. So I would never want to do that again.
Yeah, one of my favorite things they did with you was the Terri Invitational Tournament in 1999. That was a really cool angle they did with Edge and Christian and the Hardys.
That's just the greatest acronym ever, right?
It is. It really is.
Yeah. My mother really appreciated that one too.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, I was so proud of those four guys. That was the beginning of, I guess, something that is, is legendary at this point. The tables and ladders and chairs, and it was a really cool time to be involved in the company, and I was very happy to have my name, even though I had nothing to do with that. I was very happy to have my name as a part of that.
I'm reading on your website here that you have 2 books in the works.
I do.
One is they're both about motherhood. One is anecdotal, advisory, and humorous in nature, and one is photographically driven. Can you give us a little more details on those?
I can tell you that neither one of them have anything to do with wrestling.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, not one thing to do with wrestling.
You actually get some people I know to buy them then.
What?
I said you make sure you get some friends of mine to buy them because people are sick of buying wrestling autobiographies, so they may actually buy these.
Well, I'm going to say that the thing with me and the whole writing a book or doing shoot interviews, I feel like if I'm going to do that, I want to really tell all. But the whole point is I can't tell all. So, it kind of makes me not want to do those. So. Right.
Well, so many people have done, the Ring of Honor shoot interview, or their art video shoot interviews, or they've done interviews with me where they've divulged everything, or they've written the book, or whatever. What keeps you from doing that? Just writing the book, or doing the big shoot interview, or just coming out with everything?
Honestly, I think I love my friends in the business, and there are some stories that are funny but yet embarrassing, and there are some stories that are you know, you just wouldn't want people to know about. And so I think that just respect of my peers is probably what keeps me from doing something like that. I mean, I've been, I think, very honest in a lot of the things I've said before. Some things I've said have been taken out of context and made me look as though I was, you know, doing the whole Benoit thing. That just really pissed me off, and it made it look like I was standing on this pedestal saying that all the boys, you know, take Selma like candy, and like, you know, it just made me look bad, and it pissed me off that they took something and made it something that it wasn't. So, I mean, I think that there are some people who abuse and misuse, you know, medications that they are given, and there are plenty of people who need the medication and use it as they're supposed to, and, you know, well and good. I think when you take something to the point where you cannot walk or feed yourself, you know, there's an issue there.
Definitely.
It's not cool. And I've lost a lot of my friends, and, you know, I don't want to see any more of them lost, but at the same time, you know, we're all adults and we all have to make our own choices, and, you know, I'm sure that people would probably say, because I have a glass of wine every night, you know, you see, you know, I do not cook dinner without having a glass of wine in my hand. That just, you know, that's just part of my evening, and I love wine. I love great wines, and, you know, I'm sure that you could probably twist it and turn it and say something about me in regards to that. But, you know, I think that you have to make choices that are good for you and for your family, and, you know, that's what I try to do in my own household, is to, you know, be a good mom and do the right thing. So
I was going to ask you about your time.
You sound like a goody two-shoes or something.
No, not at all, Terry. Not. You know what? It's so funny. The very first show I did, this show, Talk Wrestling, was pretty much ripping into Nancy Grace.
Oh boy.
And the way that she's.
Her at all.
What's that?
I don't like that woman.
Well, I don't either, and if people want to go back and watch the first show, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I just, you know, I felt she used the whole situation to spin and to get people on her show that, you know, have been out of the limelight for a long time and are looking to make a quick buck, looking to get themselves over, like Mark Marrow. I like Mark Marrow as a wrestler somewhat, but, you know, he really went a little too far.
I'm thinking, you know, with that one, he threw some people under the bus, and I mean, that's something I just am not interested in doing. That doesn't make me happy to. I mean, yeah, I want my friends to be healthy and happy and all that, but I don't want to sit there from some pedestal and say what's wrong with, you know, this person, that person, or the industry.
Yeah. Another question from the fans. You were involved in several WrestleManias. Which one was your favorite?
Oh, you know, probably the first one, which was in Anaheim, was, I guess your first WrestleMania is always magical. You know, every WrestleMania is magical in its own way, but my first one was really special.
That was Dustin and Piper, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I, you know, even though I didn't enjoy matches per se with other females, I think the fact that I got to headline a match, which was with the Cats.
Oh, yes.
And I'm trying to think, where was that? Which city was that in?
Believe it or not, that was Anaheim as well.
That was Anaheim too? Okay.
Yep, yeah. WrestleMania 12 was in Anaheim with Goldust and Piper, and then you did the cat fight with the Cat in the same arena at WrestleMania 2000.
Okay, yeah, I remember loving, around that time, there was a Macy Gray song out, and I'm trying to think of the name of it now, but every time I hear it, that makes me think of that WrestleMania, because it was playing on, you know, the rental car that I had was this, it was a Jaguar, but it was this ugly colored green Jaguar. And so driving around to either go and tan or grab some food or go to do anything, every time I turned the radio on in the car, I swear that song was on. So, yes, that would have been probably my second favorite WrestleMania. So.
Yeah, that was my favorite WrestleMania up until this year. The reason that was my favorite WrestleMania is because they had access for the first time that year at the convention center, and I actually got a chance to meet you there.
That was awesome, wasn't it? Just to be able to, for us to meet the fans and the fans to have such an experience. That was great.
Yeah, I met you and I met S.A. Rios at the. You're at the table with Taz. Tell us about your work in philanthropy. What?
Well, I mean, it's something that I've always done. It's something that has made me probably one of the things that's made me most proud to be in the business is to have a platform in order to be able to help other people. But I've always, from the time I was little, I couldn't stand to see other people hurt. Whether it was their feelings were hurt or whether they were fell down and skinned their knee, I just couldn't stand to see other people hurt. And it's funny, my sister is just the opposite. She's like, why do you care? Why do you care so much? And, she's one of those people that she doesn't want to be hugged. As a child, I remember I was just, you couldn't hug me enough. You couldn't love on me enough. I was just the little lover. And my sister was just the opposite. Don't touch me. Get away from me. Don't touch me. Mom, Terri trying to hug me. Tell her to stop. That whole thing. With the contest that I'm doing right now, it's, the same thing. I got the idea to do it. A lady was doing it in this horrible housing market. I wanted to sell my house, and it's like, wow, this is a terrible time to want to move. But this lady was doing this contest where she was giving away her home to the winning essay writer, and every essay had a $200 entry fee, and her minimum number was like 6,000 or something. And I remember going, wow, that's a great idea, but I don't want to, that would help my family, that would help me, but I don't want to stop there. I want to do something to where it's kind of paying it forward, like the old movie. I want to do something to where it helps somebody else, not only myself and not only my family. So that's when I decided to do, and I think her essay was on, write your favorite pet story, which I love my pets, but, I think there's something there's a bigger cause and a bigger picture out there, and so my essay contest, my question is, how would you make the world a better place? And the winner of the essay contest wins my home, plus $100,000 cash to do, whatever they want with it, but hopefully they'll use it toward whatever their essay was written about. And it's funny, I had a guy write me on my MySpace account saying, the only reason I haven't done this contest is because I'm scared that I'm not a good writer. And I so want people to know it's not about, where you put the period, where you put the comma, it's about just putting your idea on a piece of paper.
Yeah, I'm reading about the home you're giving away. 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, stunning pool, complete with waterfalls, a hot tub, and a playhouse, workshop, or whatever you choose to make it, plus the cash. That's a pretty expensive home you're giving away.
With the house.
What's that?
I do not come with the house.
Well, I think that's it for this episode of Talk Wrestling. I appreciate Terri Runnels coming on. Again, theterrirunnels.com, myspace.com/theterrirunnels, and anything else you want to plug, Terri?
Yeah, we didn't plug the website for the contest. It's maketheworldright, WRITE.com.
Okay.
And you can actually go to theterrirunnels.com, and there's a link to either the MySpace, the YouTube, or the contest. So
yes, there is.
You can get to any of those from my new website.
Well, that's it for this Talk Wrestling. We will see you all next time. Take care, everybody.